I am a soul blazer. I change lives, I touch people's souls, and I open them up. I teach people how to be present and to be in their authentic soul. Do you guys know what imposters are? These untrained imposters, they reside on the stage of our brain, and they're trying to control us. But usually what happens is they make things worse. But the good news is that we can control them. We could take over and we could teach them to work for us instead of against us. Hi, everyone. It's so good to be here. Welcome to the show. Today, we have a very special guest, Kian Saneii, and he is the founder and CEO of 𝐉𝒍𝒍𝒂𝒛𝒊𝒏𝒈, which is life-changing for many people. And we're going to get to learn all about that in the next 20 minutes. Hi, Kian.
Good morning, Lisa. It's so nice to be with you.
Yes, it's so nice to have you here. So I'm so impressed with the work you do and how you started 𝐉𝒍𝒍𝒂𝒛𝒊𝒏𝒈 and where it's come in 10 years or so. So we don't have time to get into all of that, but I wanted you to share your just nuggets of how you created the company and how you got it to where it is today.
Sure, you bet. So it's actually 14 plus years, but who's counting? And the company was founded on a premise that we can do a better job using technology for older adults to help all of us stay where we are longer, safer, more comfortably. I did a lot of research, and the bottom line was the brand for technology for older adults was still I've fallen and I can't get up. And so with the help of a phenomenal design firm called IDEO.com, we answered the question, why hasn't anyone else succeeded? And they came up with what is today 𝐉𝒍𝒑 way back then. And we started not just with feature function benefits, but how we do things. It's all about engagement of the individual and also the simplicity of the platform. And one other thing is that we had the world's first tablet, which was like the best platform to do this, but it really didn't work well because it was too small. The battery challenge was always there. If you held it, you'd run out of batteries. If you're connecting it to the charge, it wouldn't be mobile. And then ultimately we partnered with LG, and we're inside every LG consumer TV. So that's really a phenomenal thing for us. And it's not just about older adults, but just overall health and wellness in the home.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And you came through the pandemic also and stayed alive where a lot of companies didn't. So that's so impressive. So I wanted to share your brilliance with our audience. So I wanted to start going through some of our soul-blazing questions to prompt you to get into your thoughts on just life and who you have to be a CEO and who you are in the world and what difference that makes. So who is your main dominant imposter?
Okay, so I gave this a lot of thought, Lisa. And
good.
As you know, I took your great test online, and it turns out I came out to be an authentic soul, which probably is not true in the sense that there are imposters that are more or less in any one of us. So I gave it a lot of thought. And I would say that by process of elimination, I'm definitely not the victim, the joker, or overthinker. So we're down those three. Then I think there's some egotists there, but it came down to seductor, fixer, and the judge. And I think it was close between the judge and seductor. But I have to say that I had to go with the seductor. And it was surprising to me to end up there versus the judge. But I think it has a lot to do with my background in marketing and in sales. And also I'm very technical, and I'm very comfortable with that. That's my original degree. But to be in marketing, you really have to make mountains out of molehills, and you have to make people be super comfortable, excited, and informed about decisions and get them to move forward. And I think that's an imposter that whether it's in your personal life or your professional life, you have to make sure that you're not overdoing it. You send messages that are accurate always, and you don't leave details out, especially when you deal with investors and customers and partners. You have to balance that. So I would say it's a seductor.
Seductor. Okay. So there is a little bit about being manipulative in the seductors category. So how do you feel being manipulative can help and hurt someone in business? Because everyone does it. Everyone.
Sure, sure. And that's really what I gave a lot of thought to. If, let's say, you accept money from someone in your company as an investor, that's a huge responsibility. And if you have to collect money from others, we've raised over $22 million in multiple rounds. And so we have great investors. But let's say you have to go raise more money. Unless you leverage that imposter properly, you're doing everyone else who's invested in your company a disservice, because suddenly you may not have the funding that you need. I think there's some background noise there. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So that's a positive of it. The negative of it is you have to be accurate, and you have to make sure everyone understands the risks as well. So it's not just about the seductor, but it's about making someone fully informed before they invest. That's one example. But you can replace an investor with a partner, with a customer, with your own employees. You can paint a vision that you believe in and you're working towards every day, but you also have to be accurate. People have to realize when they're part of the team, we're all adding to the wave, but nobody's riding the wave. And so I think if you paint a beautiful picture of a wave, but not accurately tell people what's expected as part of the team, again, that could be a seductor that would be negative versus a seductor that is actually positive for the employee and the team.
Yeah, that's wonderful. When I created this quiz, there is a positive and negative of each imposter. And if you harness the positive, they could really work for you. And if you don't, they really work against you. So what is the primary negative consequence of the dominant imposter? Like, give me another example, just succinct, of how it's affected you and something you've done.
Early on, Lisa, I didn't, in hindsight, and one or two people actually gave me a comment in a positive way, but early on, I wasn't as balanced, I would say, in how I presented our opportunity. I believed in it. If you can't bend reality as a founder, you shouldn't go be a founder. So, you're creating something out of nothing, and you're doing it without the proper resources. And unless you believe 100%, and unless you can motivate others to believe 100%, it's going to be a tough challenge. So that negative part of it is if you believe so much that you maybe minimize the challenges, minimize the opportunity for risk, minimize to someone that you're accurately talking to, then that's a negative. So that was early on, maybe the first 1 or 2 or 3 years. And then I realized, of course, we all know everything takes longer, every cost is double and so forth. So you have to balance that out so people are aware. But that was a negative early on.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. So how do your actions support the life you're creating, and how can others do the same?
Well, I think you always lead by example. So it's never what I say, but what we all do. So I think actions are, especially now, most of the company, we're virtual. We're all over the country. We have development in India. We have user experience development in Brazil and northwest of the US. We have lots of folks in Southern California and other parts of the country. So being a global company, and also the Philippines, of course, on the marketing side. So being global, there's a lot of trust and there's a lot of camaraderie, and it's really about output versus before you would see people come to work and they'd leave. It's not about that anymore. So if you feel like taking a break, you can do that, but also if you're committing to do something, you do it on time. So I think the actions are about really persistence and not letting any kind of issue either get you down or get the company down, and really working through problems, trusting each other, and really leveraging the team. And if you do that as a leader, then I'm fortunate that I work with amazing people, and we all do that with each other and for each other. And that shows with our partners, that shows with our customers, and it also shows with our investors when they're looking to support our growth.
Okay, so how do you create a winning team all over the world, in different countries, and keep them together? And how do they all interact? And how do you lead all these different personalities in different fields? Because I know some people really want to create a company, and they're even asking me, how do you have people in the Philippines? How do you have people, in different countries working for you? So I'd love to hear your answer since your company's so big.
I guess there's a few rules that I go by. One is that you have a commitment to excellence in every position and in every individual. And, we've all heard this before. We have to take our time in hiring, and firing is the easy part, as hard as it is. So you really want to make sure you get the right people in as best as you can. Sometimes you don't, and then you have to correct that. And as long as you have that commitment to excellence and you do the hard work up front, as well as the hard work of correcting things, then those who want to work hard feel like they're supported. Because if somebody to your left and somebody somewhere else are not pulling their weight, and you see over time that doesn't stand in the team, then you feel that's part of the reward. So part of it is that commitment to excellence. The other one is that if someone is doing someone else's job, then that person shouldn't be there, the second person. So that I apply that to myself. And in a growing company, you really want to pull your weight and be collaborative with everyone versus somebody supporting someone else too much. And I think especially from a management standpoint, you might have folks in a leadership position that make sure things are done right by actually doing those things. In that case, you really can't scale, because you want to have people around you and under you that do their job, and you can trust them to do their job.
Okay. Thank you for that. That's really great. Which weakness did you need to overcome to live the life you deserve? We all have weaknesses and we all have our strengths, as you know. So what did it take to go from working for someone to actually going, I'm going to create something on my own and make it succeed and have the nerve to raise over $20 million?
I think I'll tell you the answer to that, and also then I'll get to the weakness. The answer to that is, what it took is that you can climb any mountain, any peak, if you focus on your next step. And to me, it wasn't about, I have to go raise $20 million and make sure I'm consistent and persistent for 14 years or whatever it takes. It was really about, there's an opportunity here. Do I have the skills in the background and the belief that we can make it work as long as we get started? And so that's been the journey for me personally and for Independent, the great people. It always takes a village. It's never about anyone, including me. So that's been that. In terms of the weakness, I would say maybe the egotist part of the imposter syndrome is that you want to get consensus. You want to get everyone believing in what you're doing and what you're saying, the decisions that you make. And I've been fortunate to work with some amazing people. My last boss, who was the chairman and CEO of WebSense, he taught me early on. He said, "It's your decision, and you're accountable. And if you have 20 people in a room, 10 of them may dislike the position, 10 others may, that makes 21, I guess. 9 others may support it, but make the decision and make sure everyone's then following it." And that was an eye changer and a game changer for me. It opened my eyes and a game changer for me, because originally it was all about, let's make everyone have kumbaya, everyone be on the same page, everyone have the same energy. And you have to trust people to be professional once the decision's made. Sometimes it's yours, sometimes it's maybe 2 or 3 people's. But that was a big difference. So you need to make quick decisions, and you need to correct anything that you need correcting, and you need to have the team that executes on that, and you need to get input from great people. But once you make the decision, everyone should be on board, even though they may not have been for that decision up front.
Yes. Okay. Wonderful. So what does it take for you to be your best self?
So I have an interesting answer for that, Lisa. Okay. And that is, it's impossible for me, certainly me, and I think anyone, to be their best self. I think if you're your best self, then there's nothing more to do, which is a shame.
Really?
I think, then where do you go from your best self? You can either at least maintain at best, or you go down. So for me, it's really all about the better self. And how do you constantly make yourself better? How do you learn more? How do you contribute more? How do you produce more? And that's really, it's all about that. It's how do you get information? It's a mix of mind, body, and soul, the physical aspect, mental, and there's things to do. You have to do sports in my case. So I have to exercise, I would say, enough and all the time during the week and overall to get the energy to then, do ridiculous hours at work. And also, I have to have the soul aspect of it with friendships, with relationships, with maybe meditation, with someone like a Sadhguru, and just make sure that's okay. I play a little bit of piano to fill the soul. So I think a combination of all of those, if you're too strong in any one of them, in my opinion, especially as a leader, then things get imbalanced. If you're only doing work, or if, let's say, if you're only an athlete, or if you're only spiritual, certainly as a leader, it's going to be challenging.
Yeah, but like, what do you do in the morning? Let me see what this, how do you live your life, improve when you're unplugged, and learn to say no? But before you answer that, your morning routine, what do you do to stay motivated to lead this company and to stay on track to be your best self, meaning you're just being great that day? How do you be your best that day? Because everyone has ups and downs, and we get thrown curveballs that throw us off. So to actually be the sole leader of this company, how do you manage, life's, interruptions?
So, you have a lot of control over your life. And in my case, I love playing soccer. So 3 to 4 times a week, which is ridiculous. I play soccer. So this morning, for instance, at 6:30, I played soccer, and I'm back and ready to go and showered by 8:30. So that's what I do. In my case, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and sometimes Fridays. And then Wednesday nights, I play soccer from 8 to 10. So that gives me energy as well. And then Saturday mornings is a different league, and I play from 7 to 9. And so long as I'm not injured, and even if I'm injured, then I can do some other things just to keep the body going. And that gives me a lot of energy. So I start my day refreshed and ready to go, and exercise. And when you're exercising the way we all do when we play, it's meditative as well. So you can't think about other things. Solutions come to you. It's a form of meditation. Other cases, I might practice what's called the Kriya from Sadhguru. So that's helpful as well. It's very transformative. So that's the soul part, the physical part, and the mental part is a lot of reading and engagement.
Soccer is mind, body, soul too, because you've got to think strategy, and it's using your body, and it's enriching your soul. So basically, for you, it's really soccer is your main guiding force that keeps you sane.
Today, and probably through my life, but there were times where I couldn't play soccer for a long injury, and then I got into bike riding. So I would go for hours of bike riding, but it's, to me, none of it is the same as soccer. I did a lot of sports, but soccer is my favorite. Okay,
wonderful. So how did your life improve when you unplugged and learned to say no?
So this one and the next question, Lisa, are easy answers for me, because it doesn't apply. I've never unplugged. I don't want to unplug. For me, I enjoy being plugged in. I enjoy, checking on things, staying on top of things. I think it's a privilege. Yes, when we could unplug on a flight, when you can catch up on magazine readings, and there was no Wi-Fi, and your computer wasn't even mobile to take with you, that was great. But I think it's even better when you can stay connected and read up on things, and if there's any kind of emergency or any kind of engagement you need to have. So to me, it's not work. To me, it's just part of life. It's a life balance. And in fact, even at soccer, I have an Apple Watch, and if it's an emergency, or not an emergency, like I'm not a doctor, but if there's a text that needs immediate attention or some sort of response, I can do it right on the field. It's amazing. Answer a call right on the field.
Okay, so you don't need to ever take a day and just tune out everybody and play like jazz or whatever, and read and sit by a pool, or.
I'm very fortunate that I love what I do, and it's not work. So to me, it's a game, and it's fun, and it's sometimes it's tougher than others, and sometimes it's challenging, sometimes it's more rewarding. But overall, it's always I'm very motivated to take the day on and do things. So I'm never tired of doing work, because it's not work for me. So yeah, I don't need time off. In fact, I can't really vacation unless I'm connected. So some people want to be totally disconnected. They go in some cave so that there's no receptions. Like I say, I can't get any emails. But in my case, I really want to be connected. I want to make sure that I can peacefully enjoy my vacation. And so maybe that's a genetic defect, but that's how I am.
So you never have the desire to go to India and sit under a Bodhi tree for a month and just numb? 𝗂𝒂𝒏𝒈 Okay.
I'm right near a beach and I don't have a desire to go sit on a beach for a whole day and do nothing. But I respect people who do that. That's great. That's how they decompress. I decompress on the soccer field or a little bit of tennis or bike riding or something. That's how I do it throughout the week.
Okay. So how did your life improve when you learned when you unplugged and learned to say yes?
So I think if I change unplugged to plugged and say yes, I would say it improved, because for me, it's like people talk about work-life balance. And if we can find something that we do that we enjoy doing, then it's not a conflict. It's not like a zero-sum game between work and life. It's all the same effort. It's the same people you enjoy working with. You're doing something meaningful together, something with great purpose. And whether you go out to dinner or whether you help a customer, whether you start a new partnership, whether you do a major release on your software, it's all, it's all part of the same life cycle that you're enjoying. So for me, it's being plugged in and saying yes to the opportunities is great.
Okay, wonderful. That's very enlightening. You're the first person who said you don't like to unplug. So
we're very fortunate. All of Africa, as the more we got plugged in, and cell phones and connectivity and information that we have at our fingertips, it's huge. For me, like, the benefits far outweigh any kind of imbalance. And yes, you have to be careful with blue light and some other things, and your eyesight and some other things. But if you're careful, then it's a huge blessing.
Okay, so do you ever unplug at night, like to get your, how many hours of sleep do you get at night? Like to get your 5 hours or 8 hours, whatever you do. Do you unplug like from 10 p.m. or 11 to whenever it is you wake up in the morning? Like
I actually unplug by getting on my phone when I wake up, and I unplug, metaphorically, by getting on my phone when I wake up. So, we're on a 24-hour cycle. So when I wake up, I catch up on some emails that might have come in from India. And so I'm set for the day, making sure everything is good. And I actually unplug by reading things that are enjoyable for me and catching up on things that are personal and enjoyable before I go to bed. So in both cases, I really enjoyed, the start and the end of the day, thanks to my cell phone.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
It's not healthy, but it seems to be okay for me, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways for everybody, and all of them are valid. So this is very enlightening. Is there anything else you want to share with us, like a secret of if someone who's listening to this who is really struggling and doesn't want to work for someone else and really wants to start their own business and raise money, what advice would you give to them?
I would say, do your homework up front. Make sure you know the complexities of what you're getting into. And then I would say, prove the model early on, so you have something that can scale, but you're comfortable that if you do this, then those things will happen. And that's a huge deal, because you can raise money based on that, and it's not just an idea anymore. It's actually something that you've proven. And then after that, expect double, triple the time and double, triple the money. That's a given. And the most important attribute, I'd say, is just to be persistent. A lot of times, things take a little bit longer. Who knew about COVID coming in the middle of all this? But as long as you're persistent, then and importantly, you enjoy the journey in the rainbow of life, not just wait for the pot at the end of the rainbow. Then you can't lose. Then you're enjoying your life, and you approach and you get to the pot at the end of the rainbow when you get there.
Wonderful. And someone just made a comment saying they want to learn more about Independa. Where can they learn more?
Well, independa.com is a great source. Independa.com, plus on social media, you can follow us on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. And as I mentioned, we're integrated inside our strategic partners at LG. So millions of LG TVs from 2021 forward have our health and wellness app on them. So you can do a search on Independa. There you go. That's a picture of it. Thank you. And that's called the Independa Health Hub. So you can get access to doctors, to dentists. In fact, I had a major dental problem 2 weekends ago. I talked to dentists on our own platform, and they prescribed penicillin and painkillers for me to get to my own doctor later. Therapists, physical fitness coaches, information from WebMD. And there's a whole bunch of free services, including a hearing check, a pharmacy discount card, video chat, photo sharing, lots of cool content. So yeah, you can get to us through LG and our website, independent.com. Well, it's also been announced on Sony platforms, so Sony TVs will be carrying us pretty soon.
That's fantastic. Congratulations on all your success, and thank you for taking this time out of your busy day to be with us. We really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, Lisa. May I plug your book, by the way? I know this is planned, but I have to say, I challenge everyone who hasn't read SoulBlazing to go read it. I took the test actually before I read the book, then I picked up the book and I couldn't put it down. And so it was super helpful. Thank you for doing what you do, Lisa. It makes a big difference in people's lives and in the world. And also, I think I still have the best comment on the book on Amazon. So I challenge anyone who reads the book to beat my comment. That would be good.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so nice. Yeah, there's so many movies coming out now about, imposters or, schizophrenia and all these different personalities that reside in us. And I think that's the extreme of it. But I think just honing these aspects of yourself and seeing your negatives and positives in these different forms really transforms people's lives. So you could follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You could go to my website and learn more about SoulBlazing, and you just learned about Independent. And we hope you use these resources. They're all great. And have a wonderful day, and see you next time. Thank you, Kian.
Thanks so much, Lisa. Have a great day, everyone. Bye now.
I'm Haisha, creator of SoulBlazing. I hack how you can change the negative thoughts in your head that hold you back. I call them imposters. I introduce you to them, teach you how to befriend them, and co-create with them, releasing old negative narratives. As a keynote speaker at your next event, I'll help your team turn into master communicators with more camaraderie, which brings more efficiency and growth to your organization. So join me and make shift happen.